Hello friends, this is John Victor from Officers IAS Academy. In this session we are going to discuss the solution for international relations subject under paper 2 of Mains 2023. We have 4 questions under IR, 2 are 10 markers and 2 are 15 markers. In total 50 marks have been given under GS paper 2. We will start with the first question, question number 9. The question is regarding SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The question is, virus of conflict is affecting the functioning of the SCO. In the light of the above statement, point out the role of India in mitigating the problems. Now, this question is associated with an organization SCO. The syllabus mentions structure and mandate as far as organizations are concerned. But this question is not about SCO alone. So apart from structure and mandate, you have to answer in a dynamic manner. You have to bring in India aspect, write points across multiple dimensions, also connecting with current affairs. I suggest following this model for answer writing as far as IR is concerned. Approach IR for both studying as well as answer writing across 6 dimensions: social, cultural, economic, political, geographic and defense. These are the 6 dimensions under IR. When you study IR, ensure that you are studying across these dimensions and use this framework also to write answers. Out of these 6 dimensions, 3 are very important: economic, political and defense. Defense dimension also called security dimension or military dimension. Apart from these 6 dimensions, you should be able to analyze positives and negatives as far as relationships are concerned. Thirdly, associate this with international organizations. They could be regional, they could be global in nature. Associate with this framework. Next, associate current affairs. So use this framework, knowledge framework, for answer writing. Focus more on conceptual knowledge in a multi-dimensional manner and then bring in facts from current affairs. By facts, I mean the memory element: facts, figures, stats, updates and so on. So we are going to write answers based on this larger knowledge framework. Okay, now shall we apply this knowledge framework to the first question? Virus of conflict is affecting the functioning of SCO. Now let's break the question. And breaking the question, we also structure the answer. UPSC makes our job easy by dividing the question into different statements. So it makes easy for us to break the question down and structure the answer accordingly. Now look into the core of the question. The core is about SCO, the functioning of SCO. So I can better structure the answer like this: Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO. It's the first heading, nothing but the introduction, the core. Next, in light of the above statement, point out the role of India in mitigating the problems. Now what is above? Virus of conflict is affecting SCO. So what can I give for the next heading or subheading? Conflict. I can write virus of conflict as such, or I can write irritants, or I can write problems. Here I am writing as virus of conflict. Thirdly, I have to point out the role of India in mitigating the problems. What is the third heading? Role of India. and I have to give conclusion at the end. Now I have structured the answer. For 10 mark question, give a shorter conclusion. For 15 marks question, give a longer conclusion. Now I need not write conclusion as such. The last paragraph implies that it's a conclusion. Conclusion should be in the nature of way forward, solution. This is how you have to write the conclusion. Conclusion should not be a mere repetition of what you have already written in the introduction or the body of the answer. Now let's write the content. Now let's fill in. Now what is SEO? Give a brief about SEO in the introduction. What is SEO? SEO is a regional organization centered in Eurasia, is it not? It is the largest regional organization in the world. Right, conceptually, but give some facts. It comprises 80% area of Eurasia, 40% of population and approximately 20% GDP. Write facts as much as possible. You need not write the entire plethora of facts. Now write further under SEO. SEO is a economic as well as political cooperation. SEO is structured on the lines of European Union, EU, large scale cooperation. So in such integration based on economic as well as political cooperation, you find greater engagement between the states. Here security cooperation is also involved. Next, briefly write about the members. Try to recollect the members and write as much as possible. If you forget one or two members, doesn't matter. India, Russia, recently joined Iran, Pakistan and Central Asian states are members of SEO. Next point, write some more points regarding structure. In SEO there are two important organs. One is secretariat and the other is RATS, regional anti-terrorist structure. Regional anti-terrorist structure is dedicated to combat terrorism. So fill in points under the first heading. Next, virus of conflict. This is the body of the answer. This is very important. You have to write conceptually across different dimensions. Now what are the dimensions? Important ones: political, economic, defense, along with social, cultural and geographic. The three dimensions, economic, political and defense, are very important. Now you have to analyze the problems or the irritants here. Now what are the important problems? Conflict. It is seen as a virus. Yes, SEO is patterned for cooperation, but unfortunately there are many irritants within SEO. Now what are the important ones? Let's see. Within SEO, the members are unfortunately not cooperating with each other. India, Pakistan is an example. Apart from this, states like China, Russia, they represent the East today. They represent the legacy of the Cold War. Earlier it was Eastern Bloc, now it is East. Now these two powers, China and Russia, they are not seen as democratic powers. They are seen as expansionist and imperial powers. Next, within the membership of SEO, the individual states as well as the larger region of Eurasia is affected by problems concerning human rights, problems concerning democracy. Now you can bring in some facts from current affairs. Mention about Uyghurs, the problem of Uyghurs in China. Next, economic backwardness, poverty. Now what are we writing? We are writing the important irritants under virus of conflict. Now conflict does not mean direct military conflicts. It refers to the larger irritants that inhibit cooperation. Now write further, give some more points. You see arms race within SEO members. This is not between India and Pakistan, between China and India. Virus of conflict. Am I right? Makes sense? Next, within SEO there is an alliance currently forming, CPR axis, China, Pakistan, Russia axis. Because of India's current closeness with US, Russia has now decided to go close with Pakistan, leading to a operational alliance called CPR. Now it is also problematic. Now within SCO there will be CPR on one side and India on the other side. CPR axis will look at India as aligned with West with respect to groups like Quad. So this conflict is also seen within SCO. Apart from this, other conflicts include the problem of extremism, terrorism. You can write about Afghanistan, nearby state Afghanistan affected by political instability and terror. Now SCO have a stake in Afghanistan as well. Apart from this, Quad, India is a member of Quad, it is also a member of SCO. Next, India-Pakistan strategic rivalry. Because of this strategic rivalry, India and Pakistan are not cooperating within SCO. So try to write the important irritants. Next, what is India's role in mitigating the problems? Third heading, third part, what is India's role? Once again, write based on different dimensions. India is a emerging superpower. India is also a leader of developing South. Here we can go for South-South cooperation. India, China are leaders of global South. They can work for the larger interest of the developing countries, especially regarding issues like combating terrorism, trade talks and climate change talks. Within SCO, you see the element of developing South because the states in SCO are developing countries. So India can give guidance and leadership within SCO. So write these conceptual keywords. India can contribute to peace and security in the region. Now keep in mind, South Asia is the least integrated region in the world. It is affected by political instability, violence and extremism. Now India can once again give guidance and leadership. Okay. Now South Asian members are also part of SCO, is it not? So bring this point as well. Next. India is a major democratic power in SCO. So India can ensure democracy in this region, in the realm of SCO. States like Pakistan, Russia and China are seen as imperial powers. Russia is the expansionist power. Pakistan is also imperial power. It has its imperialism over states like Afghanistan. Pakistan supports terror. It is also a victim of terror. So India can strengthen the democratic element within SCO. Apart from this, India can contribute to SCO in areas of trade, investment, technology. Now, some economic organizations like INSTC have a role to play. INSTC has members of India, Iran and Russia. INSTC can cooperate, coordinate with SCO. Next point, India can work with the RATS, the dedicated anti-terrorist organization of SCO, to combat terrorism, extremism in Eurasia, especially in South Asia. Next, India can use soft power in SCO. What is soft power? Voluntary cooperation in the nature of friendship, using elements like culture, values, tradition, track to diplomacy and so on. Whatever you name can be used as soft power as long as it is constructive in nature. So write the keyword soft power can be used in SCO. Culture is an important element of soft power. Buddhism, can be used as soft power within SCO. Languages can be used as soft power within SCO. Diaspora can be used as soft power within SCO. So these are the conceptual points. Now bring some facts from current affairs. Write about the recent developments. Mention Economic Development Strategy 2030, a target of SCO. Mention it. Next fact from current affairs: New Delhi Declaration declared in July 2023, where the Indian Prime Minister spoke about fighting terrorism, going for de-radicalization, sustainable lifestyle to combat climate change, and digital transformation. So bring in the dynamic stuff, write along with the conceptual point, and then give the conclusion. What can be the conclusion here? India can ensure balance of power in the region of Eurasia. India can help integrate this region. India can act as a guide and leader to the members of SCO who are developing countries. So write logically, mention 2 or 3 points. Give practical solutions, don't give naive or emotional solutions. You can even give your own suggestion telling that India can try to bring in other countries, engage with them, and we can try to go for collective security in SCO. Already there is rats. Apart from this, we can try to go for a collective security cooperation so that issues like terrorism and extremism are handled better. Next question, question number 10. Indian diaspora has scaled new heights in the West. Describe its economic and political benefits for India. 10 marks. Now apply the procedure, break the question and structure the answer. Indian diaspora has scaled new heights in the West. So first heading is Indian diaspora. Next, presence in the West. Third, economic benefits. Fourth, political benefits. Last is conclusion. Now write briefly about Indian diaspora. What is Indian diaspora? It is a collective group of people who have their origin in India but now living outside the world. Indian diaspora consists of two types, two larger categories. One is NRI and the other is PIO. In total, there is about 31 million diaspora, 18 million PIOs and 13 million NRIs. Bring some facts and figures. Okay. Now write further in introduction. Indian diaspora acts as a cultural bridge between India and the rest of the world. Indian diaspora can be used as a form of soft power. It can be used for diplomacy. Indian diaspora is expected to grow further in future. From Indian diaspora, India can accrue many benefits: economic, political, strategic. So you are writing about Indian diaspora, not in depth but briefly highlighting the important areas of significance in the introduction, which is Indian diaspora. Next, presence in the West. Now many students will get carried away, they will fill in factual stuff. They will write about Rishi Sunak, they will write about Kamala Harris. Yes, you can write, but focus more on the concept. Indian diaspora has great significance in the West. Take US for example, Kamala Harris. She holds an important position in the political fraternity. Rishi Sunak once again holds important political post. People like Sundar Pichai hold important economic post. These people act as bridge between India and the West. They are strategically very important for India. The diaspora in West reflects India's culture abroad. Give some examples. Sikh culture in Canada, South Asian culture, Indian culture in US, UK. Indian diaspora in West plays an important role even during elections, especially in US. So fill in briefly regarding presence of diaspora in the West. Now here you can give some facts. Write briefly about the numbers. In West, maximum number of diaspora is seen in US followed by UK, then in other countries in Europe like Italy. Now, what are the economic benefits? Don't forget to mention an introduction, diaspora itself is a form of soft power. Economic benefits, the major economic benefits come in the form of remittance and investment. Remittance is part of the income sent by Indians back to India. The process is called repatriation. As of now, we receive nearly $100 billion through remittance, approximately, right, a rough figure. Now, this is greatly helpful for India. $100 billion is more than the GDP of many African states and many Asian states, is it not? So, India, largest recipient of remittance, it is expected to increase in future. Okay, so, write 90 million or 100 million from the news. Secondly, investment. Indian diaspora brings investment to India, comes in the form of FDI and FPI. It helps industry, it brings in technology. Through diaspora invest, our startups get help. These people pump in money and also technology. So, write some keywords: startup, venture capital, angel investors, and so on. So, these are the two main areas where we receive economic benefits. Thirdly, go further, analyze further. The political members of Indian diaspora, they also can contribute indirectly in the economic sphere. India is now currently trying to sign free trade agreements with Western states like Australia. Politically, Australia comes under West. We are trying to sign with UK. UK, the free trade agreement is pending for a long time. Now, this is also economic dimension. Now, the diaspora invest, people like Rishi Sunak can help quickly sign such trade deals. Such trade deals will enormously benefit India. It will help increase our trade. So, our export volume will increase in future. Then under economic dimension, mention about certain schemes that India is offering to the diaspora invest. Study in India program SIP, Know India program KIP, and mention some other programs, knowing your roots and so on. Just mention 2 to 3. You can briefly mention about the ceremony that is conducted once every 2 years, Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, PBD. Awards called Pravasi Bharatiya Samman are also distributed. Next, political benefits. Now, you have to specifically focus on the political fraternity. In states such as Canada and UK, many Indian origin MPs are present, many ministers are present. Rishi Sunak himself is a PIO. How do you see Rishi Sunak? Rishi Sunak is the Prime Minister of the second most influenced country in the entire world. Now, Rishi Sunak can help India during crisis. He can help frame foreign policy initiatives from UK which are favorable to India. Makes sense? He can help fast signing of free trade agreements. Take Kashmir issue, such people can support India legally, legitimately, supporting our stance. So, these people, political fraternity, very important for India. Now, the same is seen in US also. Many members of Congress, they belong to Indian diaspora. Kamala Harris is a member of Indian diaspora, PIO. Now, the same benefits accrue from US also. Thirdly, through diaspora, we can solve many crises. Khalistan movement, political problem, separatist movement. Some members among Indian diaspora create problems for India by supporting the Khalistan movement. Now, there are members of diaspora who are moderate, who keep India's sovereignty and interest in mind. Now, engage with the diaspora who want to work closely with India. So, you neutralize these radical and separatist tendencies. So, mention issues like Khalistan movement, Northeast separatism. Here, the political fraternity will greatly help India. You can mention this term. The Indian diaspora, through their goodwill, they strengthen the concept of natural partners. UK can be seen as a natural partner of India, so is France, so is US. Now, diaspora plays an important role in creating the natural partnership between India and other states. Here our focus is on West. Now political diaspora members, they are crucial in aligning the values regarding common goals, interests and challenges. Peace, common goal for West and India. Political stability, common goal for India and West. Opposing terrorism, extremism, common interest. Bilateral trade, common interest. Development of the world, common interest. Indo-Pacific region, common interest. Indo-Pacific region is a political realm, don't forget. Geopolitical realm, diaspora play a role. So try to connect and give a holistic answer. Write your conclusion at the end. Excuse me, conclusion should be inference. You can tell that Indian diaspora in the West should continue to strengthen its social, cultural, economic and political bridge with India. They can continue to work closely with India in various foreign policy initiatives currently under implementation. They can help strengthen the concept of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. So complete the answer. Third question, 15 marker. Question number 19. The expansion and strengthening of NATO and a stronger US-Europe strategic partnership works well for India. What is your opinion about this statement? Give reasons and examples to support your answer. So how do you break this? US-Europe strategic partnership. Expansion and strengthening of NATO. Benefits for India. So we have structure. For 15 markers, conclusion can be a bit longer. You can give additional points. Okay, now US-Europe strategic partnership. Why is this important? Now you have to focus on important values conceptually. Now let's fill the content. Now US and Europe, even though they are far away, separated by Atlantic Ocean, many values are uniting them. What are these values? Democracy, liberal democracy, capitalist economic system, free market, rule of law, democracy. So these are important values related to humanity that unite US with Europe. Apart from this, US and Europe desires international peace and stability. US and Europe, some European states along with US are imperial themselves. That's a separate story for discussion, but let's now focus on the core aspects. So here these points are very important, right, about the shared values. Now bring in some facts. Under Marshall Plan, US helped Europe after the Second World War. US and Europe, this is a zone of peace, zone of stability. Here there are two important organizations, mention them. One is NATO and the other is EU. NATO, a Cold War era organization, it is for collective security. NATO bridges US with Europe. EU, many members of EU are members of NATO as well. So you see an organic connection between EU and NATO based on shared goals and interests. So you should write NATO here. Next, come to expansion and strengthening of NATO. You can also add that countering Russian and Chinese aggression and imperialism is also an important task for US and Europe. In simple words, the Cold War legacy is still continuing. So this is a challenge for US and Europe. US and Europe referred to as West as far as the politics in international level is concerned. Now second, expansion and strengthening of NATO. Now write briefly about NATO. NATO formed in 1949, principal Cold War era security organization. The motto is collective security. What is collective security? All members join together, provide security for all the members. If a third country attacks one NATO member, it will be taken as an attack against entire NATO. So this is called collective security. Able to follow? Now write about the expansion and strengthening of NATO. After the Cold War, NATO obtained many members from Eastern Bloc. Example, Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. They became members of both NATO and EU. Currently, the West through NATO is doing its power politics over East through buffer region Eastern Europe. The states in Eastern Europe, Belarus and Ukraine are buffer states, important buffer states. They are involved in the power politics between West and East. Now Ukraine-Russia war is nothing but a manifestation of West and East rivalry. Here East refers to leadership of Russia. So mention these points. Now try to associate India here. Now India is a natural partner with both US and EU, because once again values are uniting. Democracy, rule of law, freedom, peace, stability is uniting India with US on one hand and Europe on the other hand. Next, US and Europe are currently engaging in order to keep a check on Russian as well as Chinese aggression. So mention this. The Ukraine-Russia war itself is a manifestation of this aggression. Now please mention some important facts from current affairs. Mention about PGII, Partnership for Global Infrastructure. So this is an initiative of G7. In G7 you find US as well as Europe, correct? Accordingly. Now India is also a member under PGII. A corridor under PGII has been initiated. It is called India Middle East Europe corridor. So PGII and India Middle East Europe corridor, within PGII they can challenge, they can compete with China's BRI. So India also has a role to play here. We now become a very important element and partner within the larger cooperation between US and Europe. EU has its own project called Global Gateway. This is EU's version of BRI. EU wants to compete with BRI through Global Gateway. Now India can work under PGII. It can also coordinate with Global Gateway. Apart from this, India, US and Europe can work for shared interest and goals. One shared area of cooperation is Indo-Pacific region. Mention it. Here the important areas of cooperation are AUKUS. India is not a member of AUKUS, but AUKUS brings Europe. It brings US into Indo-Pacific. India can work with AUKUS. India is a member of Quad. In Quad, US is present. India is also a member of alliance called IIJ, India, Italy, Japan alliance. Here Italy comes from Europe. So these strategic alliances in Indo-Pacific region strengthens India's cooperation with US and Europe. Once again, these partnerships can challenge, they can keep a check on Chinese aggression. Mention about India's own strategy called Indo-Pacific strategy. Here we can work with US and Europe. Mention about the recent defense related agreement signed with US. In 2016, US made India a major defense partner. We signed agreements like Lemova, BECA and COMCASA later mention these. US is also interested in making India work closer with NATO. So we have many options which we can explore, but don't judge anything. Don't simply say that we should go and work only with NATO. Next, this cooperation can also help India economically. India can sign trade deals faster. Mention about India UK trade deal. Next, India US Europe cooperation is important for security. This is a very important dimension. Under security, we have to combat terror, extremism, check religious fundamentalism. We should also keep a check on our neighbor Pakistan, who is a sponsor of terror. Write these points. Along with it, bring in from current affairs. Mention about CCIT. It is a proposed international organization which will specifically work to combat terror. This organization is not established yet. In future, India can take in the support of US and Europe to establish CCIT. Apart from this, US and Europe support is needed for India to get permanent membership at UNSC. Mention this. We also need membership in NSG. So the goodwill is very important as far as Europe and US are concerned. So write these important points. I have covered the important dimensions. If there are other points, try to bring them. Once again, mention about soft power. Mention about diaspora here. India, Europe, US. Who is merging? Diaspora is merging as a virtual bridge. Give conclusion at the end. Since it's 20 marks question, you can give more points under conclusion. You can tell that India can work with extended neighborhoods through cooperation with Europe. India can create more natural partners through cooperation with Europe. India can emerge faster as a superpower, take leadership for the world through its larger cooperation with US and Europe. Here, cooperation with NATO serves as a connecting link. Okay, so answer like this. At the same time, you can just highlight some challenges also. US and Europe, keep in mind, not all states are democratic, many are imperial, even America is imperial, France is imperial, UK is imperial. So tell that at the same time we should also keep a check on Western neo-imperialism, because this may challenge India. So give a balanced, holistic conclusion. And don't forget to mention G20. US, Europe, India cooperation is seen within the organization G20, for which recently meetings are going on. Last question, 20th question, 15 marker. Sea is an important component of the cosmos. Discuss in light of the above statement the role of the IMO, International Maritime Organization, in protecting environment and enhancing maritime safety and security. This question is centered around the organization IMO. Syllabus says structure and mandate. But once again, this is dynamic. They are asking you to analyze with respect to environment and maritime safety and security. So keep the larger framework, 6 dimension, positive, negative, organizations, current affairs. Organize and write in a holistic manner. If you simply write structure and mandate, it is not enough. Many students will write only structure of IMO. They will write the membership, year started, different committees, conventions. Not enough. You have to focus in a multi-dimensional manner. Now let's structure. Write about IMO, introduction. Then mandate, role of IMO. What is mandate? Mandates means authority. Authority includes the responsibility also. Then role in protecting environment and maritime sphere. You can give headings in your own words. Okay friends, now write about IMO. Now such questions are challenging. I myself feel that this question is somewhat more connected with facts rather than the larger conceptual knowledge. But anyway, UPSC has asked this question. It wants you to think here. Now write about IMO. IMO is a specialized agency of UN. There are 15 specialized agencies if I recollect correctly. One of them is IMO. Now it was established in the year 1948. It comes under an organ of UN, ECOSOC. The mandate of IMO is that it provides a regulatory framework for shipping, maritime safety, environment. So mention these conceptual keywords. Structure of IMO. IMO contains an assembly, council and 5 main committees. You may wonder, where should I study this? Now IMO came in the current affairs some months back. UPSC tends to focus more on facts as far as organization coming in current affairs are concerned. So if you have obtained these facts, you can manage in the mains exam. Now one of the mandate of IMO is to help the SDG goal, sustainable development goal pertaining to ocean. SDG 14 I think. The membership of IMO is 175 countries. So I have written about structure and mandate of IMO, giving the important points briefly. Enough. Next, role of IMO. Now try to write a bit further. Mention about some committees and the important convention. Definitely nobody can write everything. Try to write the important ones. Now the important committees are Maritime Safety Committee, Legal Committee, Facilitation Committee. If you write 2 committees, more than enough. Similarly, write the concerned laws. SOLAS, SOLAS is a law concerned here. Safety of life at sea. You need not write the full form message, write the conceptual content. Enough. SOLAS is safety at sea. MARPOL. MARPOL pertains to controlling marine pollution. And there is a third convention called MLC related to labor. The first 2 are important, SOLAS and MARPOL. IMO also gives regulations and rules regarding shipping, rules of shipping, building the ships, maintenance and so on. India is a very important state that is engaged in the maritime sphere. Approximately 11% of global maritime trade conducted by India. Give a rough figure, 11%. So India is a important stakeholder as far as IMO is concerned. Now we have to discuss the role in protecting environment and the maritime sphere. Now even if you don't have the exact factual knowledge, use the basic conceptual knowledge of IR and fill in content. Now IMO is in charge of important areas and issues like piracy, maritime robbery, navigation. Write these points. Then mention the important areas where these are pertinent. South China Sea, tension filled region. Malacca Strait, tension filled region. Highlight these important ones. There is a code called Djibouti Code of Conduct for piracy. If you can recollect, write this, otherwise no issues, but focus on the concept of piracy. Horn of Africa is very notorious for piracy. IMO plays an important role when it comes to Horn of Africa. There is a convention called Hong Kong Convention that talks about recycling of ships. Once again, write if you are able to recollect. Now, one of the issue in IMO is that it is dominated by developed states. As a result, it is unable to efficiently protect environment and enhance maritime safety and security. So, mention these issues also. Apart from this, IMO also takes care of the polar regions, especially Arctic. There is a code called Arctic Code which describes about navigation in Arctic. Today, Arctic has become a much sought after region. States like Russia and China are trying to explore Arctic for taking the resources. They are also trying to explore Arctic to find a shorter route to Europe. So, connect everything. Try to connect as much as possible, keeping important dimensions in mind. Apart from this, there is another organization called UNCLOS. UNCLOS talks about the laws of the seas. Now, UNCLOS and IMO, they are related to each other. Many of the conventions and laws in IMO are mentioned by UNCLOS. So, mention this. And give the conclusion at the end. You can tell that the world is interconnected through the maritime sphere. The maritime sphere faces common challenges in the form of climate change, pollution, conflict and so on. So, IMO acts as an organization for resolving all these issues and connecting the different states through the maritime realm. You can probably add that India can play an important role as a regional power and as a emerging superpower with respect to IMO, right. So, these are the points that you can manage and write in mains. So, if a person writes 7 to 8 good points, it is enough as far as this question is concerned. I hope this discussion has been helpful to you. Thank you.